Thank you very much, Simi. And at the outset, I would like to thank Director of IMPRI, Dr. Arjun Kumar, and to Dr. Simi Mehta, and all the panelists. And I'm very happy to see two of my dear friends, Sanjukta ji and Swarna ji, after such a long time. And after hearing Major General Chakravarti, many issues of defense have become very clear. And it's very true that there are some problems, or maybe we can say there are many problems. But even then, we have to think about the solutions and also about the way forward, that how we can get through all these things and also achieve the target of foreign policy. Foreign policy and defense, they go hand in hand, and they are complementary to each other, not opposite to each other. And because when we talk about foreign policy, we definitely look into the factor that we have to have sovereignty, we have to have territory, we have to have population, and we have to have a government. So the defense and the foreign policy, they work for these four aspects, and they want to make them secure. It is very important for us, like Chakravarti ji talked about, that the Indians were deported, illegal immigrants from US were deported in a military plane. So this is our population, and it is our duty to protect such kind of population, because even then they have gone to US illegally, but after all they are Indian citizens. So there are so many aspects of foreign policy which are interconnected with the defense. Like he talked about the defense budget in detail, and I would also like to say that India aims to accelerate its growth at the present time, which is very turbulent. And this growth will be led by employment. And there are key sectors which have been highlighted by our finance minister, like we want to develop through agriculture, through industry, through health, through education, through rural development, through tourism, hospitality, and exports. And most importantly, through infrastructural development, about General Chakravarti also talked. So for this, our Prime Minister, he spoke very clearly that we need innovation, we need inclusive development, and we need information. And to integrate these three aspects, we are into AI, we are into machine learning, we are into robotics, we are into cyber technologies and space technologies, which are very crucial to the future needs of India's defense as well as foreign policy. He talked about IDEX, and I think it's a wonderful initiative because it allows R&D in defense, which is very important. Because if we try to make it in India, like our Prime Minister always says, that you have to make in India, you have to make for India, because then only India can become great. We have to see his dream through his eyes, that he wants to make India Viksit Bharat by 2047. And the goal of the 5 trillion or 7 trillion economy, they want to achieve in 2030. And it will not be surprising that if all efforts are put together, the economy can go to that direction also. Our foreign minister also talks about foreign policy when he says that our foreign policy is based on mutual interest, because the interest govern the foreign policy, and mutual respect, which is necessary, and resilient society or resilience. And through these things, we can also make India or Bharat an important stakeholder in global politics and in the context of foreign policy. So this slide was obvious about the defense budget. This slide was obvious about the allocations, but the highlights of India's foreign policy, like we are talking about neighborhood first. And this is not a new policy. Prime Minister Modi made it a compulsion that we have to see our neighbors first, and then we go to other places. So that's how Bhutan is the largest recipient of the grant. Maldives is also there. Sri Lanka is also there. Nepal is also there. Even Afghanistan is there, but the aid has been decreased. And we are also going towards Africa, South Africa, and other countries to give them aid. So this aid politics is very helpful. And on the other hand, if we see the word politics, we see that the United States of America has withdrawn all the aids. US aid has been stopped to various countries. And these countries are of global south, or the countries which need it more for their immediate requirements. So on the one hand, we have a global power. We say that the world has become multipolar, but I find it that it is still unipolar because it is being directed by the whims and fancy of only one person, and that is the US President, Donald Trump. Any country who is refusing to obey his directions, these sanctions are being imposed. Like 25% sanctions on Mexico, Canada, and other countries, despite the fact that they are doing whatever they are required to do, like border patrolling and also the sale of illegal drugs like fentanyl or the illegal immigrants. So they are doing it. Even China has also not been spared. China has also been levied 10% because of this. So this is an era where we have to see that the economics is driving the international relations. And politics is also, of course, there, because without politics, economics can also not survive. So every day there is a claim. Sometimes the claim is that we will snatch Panama, we will snatch Panama Canal, or we will snatch Greenland, we will own the Gaza Strip. And the on the other hand, there are other things which the US wants to do. So in this kind of a world where uncertainties are immense, what India will do? So this is very, very important that India is investing in the border security, infrastructure, military training facilities, and preparing the army for future wars. Because there would be wars, of course, if this kind of trend goes on, and we have to be prepared for this. I liked one of the very, very important comment by Chakravarti ji, that you give the budget, but the budget remains unspent. So this is not only about the defense sector, but in each and every sector we find it. But even for the educational institutions, like we are centrally funded universities. Of course, I am not the vice chancellor now. I have become former. So, but I know that the union budget provides funds to the universities. So the budget is not used by the universities. It is not that the government is not doing, government is not giving, but there are some kind of hurdles within the system or within the other areas. Like it is mandatory to purchase through GEM, that is government electronic market. And sometimes you do not get those things in that market. So the budget remains unused and it goes back, and then you are considered defaulter. So same happens in the defense sector also. Now, if we talk about union budget once again, then I think India has always said, under the leadership of Prime Minister Modi, that we would like to make in India. We would like to make for India. And he has always invited investors. That's how we see that there are so many investors summit which go on. And these private investors are, if they invest into India, but if the difficulties are not reduced, they will be discouraged. So this is very important for the foreign policy also to look into this direction, that how the private players can come into this area and also prepare for India. Very interesting. So that the dream of a Viksit on the lines Bharat of India by 2047. America also says that make America great again, mega. Europe also says that make Europe great again. So this is very exemplary that India is providing a leadership role to the world. Even if today President Trump is calling the shots, but Indian philosophy, Indian theories, and Indian campaigns are being noticed throughout the world, worldwide. And in view of the various issues, now India is diversifying. India is not dependent in only one country like it was during the Cold War, but now India is diversifying according to the national interest. Like we keep on buying oil from Russia during the Ukraine war. India was criticized, but India was looking after its national interest of protecting sovereignty, territory, population, and government. And still, India is doing the same, that it is working for the protection of its national interest. And I think that is the biggest goal. So even if there are tariffs, like in India also 2.88% tariffs have been imposed on all the goods, although the trade between India and the US is not that great. But even then, in this transactional scenario, the economies are highly integrated now because it's a globalized world. And every country has some kind of relationship, economic relationship with the other country. So this is going to affect everyone, every state. And President Trump sees tariffs as the best example of using the power of economy. He wants to use economic force rather than military force. Military force will come later on, like the Indians were deported through the military planes. But economic sanctions will be the first idea. So this is also indicating that now we cannot talk more about soft power, but we have to talk about hard power. Because if you see Trump's policies, he believes in bargain, not in bargain. Nothing is, he is not bargaining with anyone. If any country is opposing, he's just imposing penalty. Like you would have seen the Colombian response, and immediately Colombian they had to backtrack. So this is going everywhere. So US is withdrawing from every organization where where the United States has to pay, like US aid, like UNHR, like UNESCO, UNRWA, all the organizations, because they feel that these organizations, they have a biased attitude towards America. So the make in America, or make for America, or make America great again is aligned with the foreign policy of America, like India has aligned these goals with its foreign policy, and defense is supporting it. So today it's very difficult to go forward, because if taking example from US only, like if the countries bow down in response to Trump's threats, then it will give an occasion to Trump to celebrate that economic force is more important than the military force. Otherwise, the countries still believe that military force is very important. So US is also working for its foreign policy only. So I have to say that this applies to India also. And in our budget, there are provisions for defense and to meeting challenges in and around India and outside. But the challenges, particularly, there are challenges from China, from US, from technology, from AI, and all these. So these in view of these, the budget allocation seems less, and this was indicated in your PowerPoint presentation also. So I would like to see that India, the current scenario also indicates that despite multipolarity, the world is still unipolar, and which aims to fulfill its foreign policy goals through mutual respect, interest, and resilience. This India wants. But what the other countries think is still to be probed. So India would have to have portable strategies to overcome various challenges. All challenges like socio-economic, humanitarian challenges, national security, military challenges, through wise diplomacy and its own strategies, for which India is known very perfectly. So I think I'll finish by saying so, and I look towards others. Yes, I would also like to say one more word, that the US is using all the techniques, like on Colombia, it has imposed DEFCON 1, that is the highest threat from any terrorist organization. So, which is not required because Colombia is not a terrorist. So, this kind of unpredictable behavior we can expect anytime. So, Indian foreign policy needs to be prepared for that, and our defense needs to support the foreign policy aims in a very positive manner.